Pyromancy. The pyromaniac's form of divination. Since, as a sage, we control the oracle rather than it controlling us, let's look at the fire and see if we can make up some stuff based on its shapes, right? So, the first shape that I notice, facing south, we had the Arabic numeral 8, which is next month. And if we face north, it's, you see those two lines right there over there, that is the number for 7. And that's this month. And it's the 7th night. And a second symbol I see is the Sewelu rune. So, self-defense is a message that I am thinking of. And that looks like a broken pentagram right there. And a verse pentagram. And if you squint your eyes a little bit, you don't notice that there's not a 5th branch forming a pentagram. And remember, you trace the lines of your face, you got a pentagram. You trace them another way with the center of your forehead, you got a pentagram. So, things are getting yellower. Some will say the season of air is the season we are in. Oh, yeah, Romans... I don't remember what Romans 9:9 is. I don't see the Roman part. We have CP, our X... Oh, you know, the Cairo. I guess there's a Cairo over there. And which that could apply to any mythic sort of entity. We have a weaving here, and sort of connected little blops over there. So the left-hand path in Tantra and the right-hand path in Yoga, which few people know the difference, but let me think here. Kasen Azatir Boros Etaza Kasen Azate Boros Etaza Kasen Azate Boros Etaza. I see in the flame the Egyptian letter S, the dental sort of S. So we have a bolt fitting to be in that pile that I attributed to yoga, because sometimes you need a knot or something in there to form an attachment. And I don't know if you can see it too well, but I see what looked at a particular angle kind of looks almost like it has a skull and hands over the... But if from another slightly different angle, we have hands over the eyes of a sort of alien figure. And I'm... Now, I'm not saying an extraterrestrial as in spaceman, but I've encountered entities that a person could say are kind of like people would say aliens are. And I'm about to say something a week from now that 9 vibrations that relate to a particular entity or type of entity that's, yeah, it's, some entities will train you. That's one way to say it. But I was visited a couple times by a particular type of entity in a moment where I very literally could have died. Breathing issues and whatnot, and that horrible apartment I was in all those years. And I should look more when I'm walking through the dark here. So the point of fire. If you look at the pentagram, there's sort of a movement towards the point of fire. And something we all need to do to one degree or another is transform. And people have a comment or question. I'm trying to focus and come up with things here. I see a 2 room here, and I want to particularly focus, I guess, on which shapes the flames are forming, or the sparks. So, let me see. I'm thinking of the world card of the tarot, you know, and how most of them, there's something of one sort or another that kind of flows like a sari in a way. So that's the shape that I saw there. Not quite a calf, but that's the thing that I thought of, and what associations you have when you're meditating and coming up with meaning, that's as important as any. So there's one of the themes that I put to the spring equinox is the world card, and there are some things that are done. Some work is done. Some you have to leave, some you go on to either do something new with it or whatever the case is. And Tawaz. Enguz. Anuz. So, justice, fertility, and wisdom are certainly qualities in what they would worship, what they would want to think of. Are what they would want to interact with. And what we would want to interact with, some people say that we have to summon the fire beings. And by fire being, I mean like we are clay beings, and they're of another type of matter that's not this material world, but it sort of overlaps the same area. And without invoking or evoking, but regardless of what one worships, the aspect of fire is a gateway. The internal gateways include the water and the other fluids when dedicated appropriately. And I'm seeing a little circle of sparks into it, and sort of a pool, sort of a line going across. So you can think of a river flowing into a lake or a waterfall. my great on my Jafarian Trail video, I shared my conversion story where I was performing a ritual out of a book. I had read about that tradition, and I just had the experience for the first time in my life. I believed that I believed I was a soul or spirit or whatever you want to call it. But my experience of myself is that I had never in my life experienced anything like that. And, you know, your body, your mind, your emotions, your willpower, or whatever you want to call that, that's something separate. And as the chariot card, we are the operator. And since this is flowing sort of southeast, the smoke is, we are reminded of Beltane, the next cross quarter to come upon us. And the 9th month is going to be very early in Beltane this year. So, getting ready for a renewal of sorts. 2 months to prepare for it. Some people say I've met people that say it's the time where certain spiritual experiences that they have stop. And so it's a trial for some people. Other people, like me, I will have a greater frequency of certain experiences. And of course, I share about these in poems and other such things. I saw a little bit of red. I don't know what. It's pretty much all orange, but kind of crisscrossed for a second. There was red and blue together, and yellow. I think of the 3 births that we have as human beings. Now we're naturally going through the stages of mother, father, and child being adolescence and onwards, where we got to either accept or leave what our parents gave us. The father stage of the rules and the skills, and the mother stage of relationships. But there are spiritual rebirths in life. And some people will die every day. Some people will be reborn every day. Some people will have both. And they will know what I'm talking about. And looking at part of a couple sets of flames that overlapped, we had the Egyptian, sort of like the twisted rope shape of the Ra in the Aramea and in Egyptian, and forms an important thing in terms of power and prestige and identity and something very strong here. But the Ga, if you give those 23 letters instead of 22, we think of, the unseen, the mystery, the blank card in the tarot, per se. And the flames and the sparks that rise up, if we think of the 5 directions in terms of elements, air, fire, water, earth, up would be that of spirit. And in terms of ascent or descent, what is the first thing I see drop here? People talk about it too moralistically. Certainly there are desirable afterlives. Sometimes there are. And okay, a horn. I think of that as, a tusk. That's more like a tusk than a horn, isn't it? And I saw a video today where somebody talked about something where they left a pig head out as part of a ritual, and they were worried, oh, the animals are going to take it and it's not going to be accepted. But whether we think of clean or unclean, one of the things that comes through is whatever we can do, it's going to be acceptable. Now, if we're intentionally offering the inferior, what do we expect the entities that respond to us, how they're going to react, whether they're of this world or of the spirit world? And I think of that lone little flame there versus the rest as we are individuals. We are individuals that we can illuminate others to some degree, even if they're greater lights than we are. And I guess my closing thought is sort of on that U-shaped thing, because you have, I've been in rooms where they're basically set up a couch around the whole entire wall, and so there comes a time to rest. Iao Samao Khairi Oi Oi Oi